a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Stay.
Now you're more fluent.
He got free!
Up, Bears. So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Woo! Welcome back to Texas Rangers with the Boys. We are the Boys, your daily. Again, now from here on forward, your daily Texas Rangers podcast by a couple of pro wrestlers who love Rangers baseball. We want to thank you for making us the first listen of your day this week for sure. This is your boy Kev, aka YBK, Kevin Frazier. Man, it's good to be back. Myself and Bull still on the road, but back home refreshed. I'm still on vacation. He's on vacation. But we're finally at a point where we can connect and get on here and talk some baseball. And we're doing it right on the heels of your Texas Rangers, your World Series defending champion Texas Rangers, off the heels of their first 3-game sweep of the season. The last team to do so, but I think it's the beginning of some big things for this team. Before we start talking Rangers, let me tell you about social media where you can find me there. Kevin Lee Frazier, that's Frazier. Don't forget to check out Texas Rangers with the Boys on social media, TX Rangers WTV. And don't forget to check out that website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
Also one word, at Chilltown Hoops. Bull, why don't you tell them about it?
Chilltown Hoops, Sports Fluent. It's the network that has picked us up and puts us on there every day when we get it out there. And now that things are picking up, we can't wait to be out there with Sports Fluent Network and just continue the partnership that we have with them.
Yeah, we're going to continue growing with this awesome YouTube channel, and you get to see our faces. Things are continuing to grow in this network, so really excited to be a part of it. I mean, while I'm here and I'm teeing you up, why don't I tee you up on a little bit of social media and maybe a little bit of Def Breath Matt Ward Pro?
Oh, well, first of all, I mean, you can't see it real well because it's dark outside, but I'm on the banks of the Delaware River in Easton, Pennsylvania. That behind you over there, that is the great state of New Jersey. Has anyone ever said that before? Like, I know we say the great state of Texas all the time.
All the time.
But does anyone say that about New Jersey?
No.
I don't know. But those trees over there, the guy that lives right there took me out on his boat earlier today. So that guy's awesome. So the one person I do know in New Jersey is cool, and he's on my team. So big shout out Andy for the boat ride earlier. But you want to find out about that boat ride, check me out on Twitter at Manimal Bull, Instagram Manimal300, and both Facebook and TikTok at Bull Pro. Whatever your favorite platform of the social medias are, get at me on there. And I got some vacation pictures up there. We were at the Cape Cod. We watched tons of Cape Cod League baseball last week. Man, it was so awesome. I mean, it was like 72 degrees every night. There was a nice breeze blowing. Some of the best baseball that you could possibly watch being played. A bunch of kids that are hungry to get to that next level, whether it be their next college or whether it be the professional ranks of baseball. But it was amazing. We got to see some of the kids that we had been watching all year at Dallas Baptist University. One of them, Grant J. Big shout out to Grant J. He hit a 2-run home run the other night when we were there. So it's nice to see his power translating with that wood bat, and hopefully we'll see Grant J some more next year at Dallas Baptist University, and then some more in the pros, because he's got a big bat for a catcher and not bad behind the plate either. So enough about Grant J, because we didn't do a minor league show, so I got to talk about something. Talk about something a little bit, not Major League Baseball, but Cape Cod League is great. I highly recommend it for anybody that just loves baseball or just loves good weather. I'll say this, I am a stern believer that in the state of Texas, in the summer, baseball should be played indoors.
I agree.
Cape Cod, no. It should be played outdoors. Yeah, it should be played outdoors there. It's that beautiful. It's great out there. So anyways, enough about the Cape Cod Baseball League. Bunch of fun. Got to see a bunch of really good, talented young guys out there. Looking forward to seeing their journeys as they go forward. But before we get to the show, because I know Kevin's over there like, oh, he's going to talk about the wrestling. But I got to tell you about Friday, July 26th. It's Matt War Pro back at the Southside Preservation Hall in Fort Worth, Texas. It's going to be a big time show out there. I know a couple of surprises for sure on the wrestling end, but we'll always, as always, we'll have the smash burgers from give it to me, Kev.
Kelly's Onion Burgers.
Kelly's Onion Burgers. This ice cream from
Starry's Ice Cream.
Starry's Ice Cream. And our friends at Martin House Brewing will be there with all of the beers from the brewery. If you prove you're 18 or 21 or up, they will let you have as many beers as you can handle for the evening. So come on out. Friday, July 26th. It's going to be a big time at the Southside Preservation Hall in Fort Worth, Texas. Now let's talk about some Texas Rangers baseball, Kev.
Woo! Let's do it. We're going to take first half of the episode today and talk some news, all of the latest and the greatest with the team since we hadn't been here.
Here's really the story, right? Since we left, the Rangers are 500. The Mariners are 500, and baseball is exactly how it was before we left.
Yeah, not a lot has changed in the standings. But I will say most recently, Rangers still just 6.5 back of Seattle. Really only one division in the entire MLB right now is like 1 game, 2 game close. And that's going to be the AL East with the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees. Definitely MLB really happy that all their big boppers are playing good this year. All your top rated teams are all at the top, or top ratings teams are all at the top of the list here. So MLB's loving that. But as Rangers fans, 6.5, not that big of a deal, especially since our Rangers are coming off of a 3-game sweep, as mentioned earlier, over a very good Kansas City Royals team at home, which, man, they needed that. The home crowd needed it. We needed it, and I think it's really, really cool. But, hey, I know we want to talk Rangers, but we did miss a really important day in baseball. A guy that many people consider the greatest baseball player to ever live. And man, there is a great argument for that, because if you're talking probably one of the progenitors of the 5-tool player, the speed, the arm, the average, the power, I mean, everything. And not only that, but man, like the charisma too. That's the 6. Talking about Willie Mays.
Yeah, I think the story that summed it up the most for me for Willie Mays was one year that he had like 36 home runs at the middle of July, and the coach basically was like, "Hey, we need you to start hitting the ball all over the place and helping us getting into the playoffs." And from then on out, he hit like 6 home runs, but he hit like 359 for the season, and just I mean, that's kind of like what Willie Mays was. Whatever you needed him to do, he could do. Hey, and he could even hit young Johnny Butabi as he was crossing the street in his car. Yeah. So
That's
I mean,
we were just talking about Willie Mays.
I know it's great that we had a Willie Mays story the week before, but Willie Mays was probably the first 5-tool player, the first guy that, I mean, the catch will always have its own place in baseball history on its own right. But then he also hit 600 plus home runs. He had, 3,000 plus hits. And I mean, he was probably the greatest defensive center fielder that we'll ever see. And we've seen some great ones in Griffey and Edmonds and the likes, and Leody Tavares. And,
Stop.
But yeah, anyways, Willie Mays, the greatest baseball player of his generation.
Career was cut short. He did military service himself, so he had a little bit of his career cut a tad short.
And also, the beginning of his career was with the Negro League. So
right. Still found a way to have 600 home runs. And remember, at the time, that was like one of
when it was him, it was just like him and Ruth.
Yeah, it was him and Ruth. And let's a 10-year in an 11-year span from 1954 to 1965, Willie Mays, not per 162, averaged 40 home runs, 109 runs batted in, 22 stolen bases. He averaged 118 runs scored. This is average, not 162, because the per 162 I mean, anybody can be great. Joey Gallo has a great per 162 in some of his
course,
seasons.
yeah,
He never played.
yeah.
He never played. He couldn't stay on the field for
Mhm.
whatever reason. And then he not only did all of that, he walked more than he struck out. He batted 318. He had a 392 on base, and he had a 605 slug with a 997 OPS, and was the best defensive player, best defensive outfielder in the league, the most spectacular player in every facet of the game. You know, the reason that guys like Griffey and Bonds wear number 24, the reason 24 is a popular jersey number, because when you see the 24s out there, you know, of course, obviously we know the
yeah.
42. So again, you know, just one of these guys, man, that just will go down as just a total legend. And so much so as a legend that he can almost run you over with his car and he's still beloved by
And you're like thankful that he did it, you know, like that. I mean, that's a great story for the rest of your life. So, I mean, except for Johnny's grandma, she was not happy, but everybody else was fine with Johnny getting ran over by Willie Mays.
Yeah, so Godspeed, Willie Mays. Could talk
wonderful
could have a whole
ball
show
player.
about him if we wanted to.
Probably so. We could do a whole Willie Mays show, but that's not what we do here.
No. Let's get into this Rangers stuff. Obviously, like you said, 4-4 since we last talked, but 3-0 since the weekend. But we're going to talk about those three box scores. We hadn't had the privilege to talk a sweep, 3-game sweep box score all season. We're going to take our time on it. But first, let's talk Rangers news. Obviously, you guys know Max Scherzer is back.
That's huge.
You know, huge, not just on the field, but in the locker room, on the team. Just his excitement. Even
having his intensity around every fifth day, too.
Watching him talk to Bochy got me fired up. I don't even know what they were talking about. But like when he took him out of the game, I mean, he's so passionate.
You know, he's sitting there at 50 pitches or 58 pitches or whatever going, Skip, I got you 20 more if you need them. Come on. And I mean, Jose Urena was tremendous too.
Woo!
Like what a story that guy's been as well for this season. But that's
I'm not gonna lie. We kind of saw it coming with Urena. Both of us were big fans of his coming out of spring training.
I told when they signed Jose Urena that was a guy that could make this team because he has such a good arm and it's so loose and he's got such run on his two-seamer, and that he could be a very viable piece out of the bullpen if that's the role that he can take on.
Well, and not just that, but also like you like that, which I didn't know enough about him on that regard. But I like these versatile guys that can pitch in and out of the bullpen and in the rotation. Like, I just believe you're going to see more and more and more of these guys over this next half decade or more, because I think they're so valuable in a league now where starting pitchers don't go more than 5 innings.
Absolutely.
So you need these guys. And Urena is one of those guys. We're
going to talk about another guy that's going to be coming back, and he's going to be into the bullpen, and Cody Bradford, Josh Sborz. Both of those guys are going to. But I think Jose Urena's job, even with Cody Bradford coming back, is completely safe. Totally. I mean, he's been nothing but 100% professional this whole season. Whatever they've needed from him, he's done. And when they needed him to step into a position to start ball games for him, he started ball games for him, and he was good at it. Perfect. And I mean, if you took his 7 or 8 starts that he made, 5 or 6 of those were really good starts, and they were very acceptable for a guy that hadn't been, throwing 5-6 innings for the season. Today he was exceptional for the 4 innings. I mean, I think he had a couple of walks and a hit, something like that. Nothing serious. And I mean, the pitching today was as it has been all season long.
Well, and I'm gonna change subjects on you real quick before we get ahead of ourselves. Yuri Rodriguez was the move. Rodriguez also who replaced Tanaka.
No, Cole Winn. Cole Winn replaced Tanaka. Was DFA'd. He's on Round Rock's roster right now, so no loss in Tanaka. So if they want to purchase it again, they're more than willing to do, or they're more than able to do so. Cole Winn was optioned back. Yuri Rodriguez was called up. And then today with Scherzer's move, Yuri was called down. So we didn't get to talk about all of those moves or whatever, but at the At the end of the day, that was kind of the moves that the Rangers made with the relief pitching to kind of just, Tanaka pitched a handful of innings or a couple of innings one night, then when it was the Mariners series, it wasn't good. It was ugly.
Right. Well, keeping it moving in terms of Rangers news. We also have Jacob DeGrom and Tyler Mahle throwing bullpens, but obviously DeGrom is the key.
Of course,
story.
that's the important one.
Right, the centerpiece, the crown jewel, the gem of the team. Imagine what a healthy Jacob DeGrom does for the morale and just effectiveness of this team.
Well, for as many people that don't know who the Texas Rangers are around this area of the country, they all know who Jacob DeGrom is. So that goes a long ways in saying how important he is to the Rangers, because he's one of their well-known players and keeps but anyways, he's so important just in the fact that he's such a great pitcher when he's on the field. He's so important to every aspect of every fifth day for the Texas Rangers, and they invested a ton of money into him. They want that investment back, and here it comes. Here it comes. Hopefully we're going to see 4+ years of him being 100% Jacob DeGrom, or at least somewhere in that 90% range, because 90% of Jacob DeGrom is 100% better than most pitchers.
Yeah, and you saw
That's
the
science.
difference.
That's just science.
Well, and you see the difference that like a guy like Verlander, makes for a team like Houston when he's in that lineup. So veteran pitchers are so important to teams, and they're sustaining their excellence. And their veteran presence in the playoffs is so important. So more Rangers news. Josh Young, in our absence, got 17 at bats at Round Rock. We're just waiting on like when.
I saw that he took batting practice with the team, live batting practice on Friday. Kind of expected to see him in the lineup at some point this week, but at the same time, there's no rush, because Josh Smith has kind of been the catalyst to this offense the last, 3 months and since Young's went down. I know that it hasn't been going great at all that time, but for the most part, Josh Smith has been consistent. So that hasn't been the worst part of things. But at the same time, the bats, having Josh Young back in that lineup would be so important. So I don't know. I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know if it's, wanting to get him some more at bats this week at AAA, or if it's what the case is. I know Justin Foscue got his rehab assignment pushed to AAA. So, I feel like they're getting healthy. They're moving in the right direction. There's just got to be something that's kind of keeping them from, making that move back onto the big league club.
Yeah, there's always going to be something that's going on, and the Rangers definitely keep a lot of this stuff close to the vest. And we'll just wait.
And again, I will be the first to admit that right now I have not been paying that close of attention. I don't know if you noticed that, but that was a river down there behind me, and there was a guy with the boat. So I haven't been paying the closest of attention. So I couldn't tell you 100%. Normally I'm right on all that stuff and, know every tweet that goes out. But you know what? I've been on vacation a little bit, and I haven't really been as close to the vest as I normally would be.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us. My wife and I, we just got back from Washington State, and man, that was a blast. It was beautiful. Go check the Facebook if you want to see the pictures.
Absolutely. There's one picture where I didn't even know it was Kevin.
There you go. Didn't even know it was me. So talking about the Rangers bullpen, Cody Bradford and Dane Dunning both are going to be going to the bullpen for the team. So I think that's really good news, because now you're talking lefty with Bradford, and then now you've got Dunning and you've got Urena. You got three guys that can get you 3+ innings.
Yeah, and you're gonna give Dane Dunning an opportunity to maybe get a little bit more comfortable He hasn't been, as good this year, but we talked about that in our last show. I think that like it was hard to, project him being as good year over year as he was last year.
Yeah.
And this doesn't mean that Dane Dunning won't be back in the starting rotation next year, because there's a lot of question marks behind Jacob deGrom next year in the Rangers rotation. So that doesn't mean that he won't be back in the rotation next year. It means that right now this year it's kind of been a struggle for him on the hill every fifth day. So give him an opportunity to go out in the bullpen and get it kind of together out there.
Yeah, I don't see this as a bad thing, because I just don't ever think having depth in this area, it's never a bad thing.
And let's always remember that Dane Dunning made his biggest impression on this club last year out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, that was it was his ability to maneuver between those two things is really what made him invaluable to this team. Like that's, and again, he's going to have to replicate that this year. And honestly, like that's the role. I mean, I don't think anybody mistakes him for a 1 or a 2 as far as top of the rotation kind of guy. And once you kind of get into that, 3, 4, 5 role again, I think this is where the league is going. That those guys, like, unless you're top of the rotation kind of guy, you need to be prepared to be versatile, because I think you're gonna see a lot of these back end of the rotation guys. You're gonna see teams taking a page out of the Rangers book and signing 7 starters instead of having just 5, and then somebody's going down, man, or somebody's gonna take an IL stint, or something's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is when signing starting pitchers like that is like being able to get them to agree to come here to not be a part of the rotation if they don't make the rotation out of spring, and as a 3, 4, 5 guy, that's like where your bread and butter is. Like if Michael Lorenzen, that could have been the reason why he was on the free agent market as long as he was, because there may have been options for him to go places, but those options were, hey, there's a good chance that you won't make our starting 5 out of the spring. And with Texas, it kind of fell into his lap that they needed a 5th starter at this open spring. And then, I mean, look at what they've makeshift through since then. And Michael Lorenzen's been like that key, that rock, that piece that's been, like Michael Lorenzen is a borderline all-star right now.
Yeah, he's a
borderline all-star right now.
And he's top of the rotation stuff right now as far as for this team, but really just in the league in general, just when you talk about numbers. And he was trending in this direction. Like when we signed him, we said, like,
I thought so.
We said, like, look, this guy was already trending in that direction as it is, because he was an outfielder, he was a reliever, and then he moves into this role. And I think he's finally fully kind of settling into like becoming like a full-time starting pitcher. And I don't think you're going to see him go out of the starting pitching rotate. Like, he's going to be a rotation guy for a while, and I think he's going to continue to be that.
I think he'll continue to be a rotation piece until he pitches his way out of it.
Right, because
he has done nothing but pitch his way into a rotation, even with a rotation that would have Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, Molly, all of those guys in it.
Yeah. Well.
That's a good number 5 in a rotation with those guys, with the Eovaldi and those other 3 and Michael Lorenzen.
Crazy. One more quick pitching note: Jose Corniel gets Tommy John surgery. Sad.
Yeah, he should have just done it in February when we all knew it was messed up in the first place.
Yeah, and then we'd have been able to, make a roster move sooner.
We could have, I mean, I don't know how that works out. I mean, they're going to put him on the 60-man. I don't know if that opens up a 40-man roster spot, but it should be. And I think he was already on the 60-man, honestly, to be honest. And it was just another one of those. Man, don't be the Rangers minor league pitcher of the year, because the next year your arm is going to fall off.
Apparently so.
So heads up, Alejandro Rosario, Winston Santos, Dane Acker, Emiliano Teota. Get your arm together because it's going to fall off next year. One of you guys.
Well, let's hope not. Well, speaking of young players for the Rangers, um, has the Wyatt Langford, Josh Smith era officially begun?
Yeah, man, I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. Whatever. If Josh Smith and Wyatt Langford are going to be the guys that carry this thing to the World Series this year, let's do it. I'm gonna ride that little left-hander till the wheels fall off of his whole body, till the teeth fall out and the wheels fall off. Whatever. Just keep bunting down the third base line whenever you can't hit a pitcher and get a rally started. I don't give an S no more. Whatever.
Well,
Whatever. I've been in a house the last couple of days where I can't say the F word. So I've been compensating that by coming up with fun ways to say all the curse words.
Jonesing. You're jonesing.
So yeah, I'm jonesing for an F-bomb right now. She just doesn't
Well,
like it. I don't know why. She said you can say "uck" with an F on the front of it.
Well,
I like that. That was kind of cool. So I've been saying "hit" with an S on the front of it all day.
Wow. Well, speaking of this topic, one thing both of those guys have in common.
The F word?
Not just that, but speaking of Wyatt Langford and Josh Smith, one thing they both have in common is they're both very disciplined at the plate and they have a very good approach. Like they have a major league level approach at the plate. Yeah. And, one of the things that the biggest adjustment Josh Smith has made this year is, being a little bit more aggressive early in counts. And I mean, it's been a career.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, it's helped everything from his batting average to a slugging percentage to, you name it, whatever it is. Josh Smith has had, the total transformation of what he was last year. And a lot of it was not getting at bats, not getting consistent at bats, not being a guy that, and when he did get consistent at bats early in the year, he slumped while Ezekiel Duran took off. This year it was the exact opposite. Josh Smith took off while Ezekiel Duran slumped. So, and now we're kind of seeing Zeke come into it, but Josh Smith is never, Josh Smith is an all-star as far as I'm concerned right now. I mean, like if I had to put Rangers that deserve to be on the all-star game, we're talking Kirby Yates, I guess Marcus Semien for sure, because he's just been so consistent and so good defensively. And then Josh Smith and Michael Lorenzen. Those are the guys that have been, all-star caliber, or at least that for the Rangers this year. And those are four guys that in February, if you'd have told me, I'd have had one of those guys on my list. Yeah. Two of them wouldn't have been on my team, and the other one would have been on my bench. So
yeah.
So I mean, baseball's such a crazy sport. It's just like the more things stay the same, like the 4-4 for the Rangers and the Mariners and everything this week, or since we were on the last show. I mean, things change as well, but the 4-4, to get to the 4-4, that changes so much because, I mean, Josh Smith, Wyatt Langford, guys that weren't a part of what they did last year at the end of the season are a big part of what they're doing right now. And you're kind of starting to see them really be those catalysts to the offense. And when, Seager and Semien aren't being the production guys that you need them to be, you're seeing it from those guys. And that's just been, I mean, everything you could want it to be, right? I mean,
100%, man.
And then maybe it took a little bit for Wyatt Langford, but the last, since he's come off the DL, I mean, he's a 300, 400, 500 guy. So whatever, I'll take that.
His numbers, I pulled his numbers up. I was going to text you about it last night, but his numbers in June are definitely, I mean, like what we expected to see from him this season.
And, I mean, hey, sometimes, and we know this, that there's no other place in the world that you're going to see pitching like you see in the big leagues. No matter where you're at. You may see it for 4 innings. You may see it one game, but you're not going to see it 162 like you do in the big leagues. And every guy comes out with a nastier out pitch than the guy you saw before. And, it's hard. That's like the hardest thing to do in any sport is hit a Major League Baseball pitcher. I mean, and they're talking 90-mile-an-hour fastball. They don't talk about what guys are throwing now. If you throw 90 miles an hour in the big leagues right now, you're a junker baller.
Yeah. Well, let me give you some Wyatt Langford numbers in June. So in June, 17 runs batted in 20 games. That 20 games is a lot. I mean, this is not like
intake.
a
Yeah,
week.
it's not
It's
like
not in a week. We're talking in a month.
it's not like those couple of games where he hit in May
Yeah.
where we were trying to piece it together. Oh, he's been hitting 520 over his last 3 games.
Right. No, 2 triples, 4 doubles, 2 home runs. Now, this is where it gets really, really good. Slashing 313, 361 with a 522 slug and an 883 OPS. Like, whoo! Like that's what this shows me about him is so it's kind of like when a player comes in to the league, they come in kind of hot, they pick up on things quick, everybody adjusts, and then they adjust, and then you see him tank. What you saw with Langford, I think what you're seeing with Langford is you saw him come in, he had an approach where I swear he did not look like he was up there deer in headlights. Honestly, you know who he reminded me of? And you're gonna laugh at me, but honestly, he reminded me of Josh Smith when he came up last year, and he was up there being patient. I believe watching him at bat, he's a cerebral guy. He's like trying to figure things out. And I believe Wyatt Langford was up there trying to figure things out, trying to get timing down, trying to get patterns down, trying to learn. Like he's a cerebral hitter. He is like, that was what he came in being known for. Guys that have great plate discipline, that walk more than they strike out or close to that, they're a totally different breed than the guy that comes up there, than your Adolis Garcias, and even in I can't
Corey
use
Seager,
Corey.
yeah.
Corey Seager's a little different. He's a little different because
he's such a professional. Yeah.
well, he has that reverse psychology thing, and it's just a different mindset. But most of these like guys that on base at 320 to 350 have a totally different approach than these guys that are at 380 and on a 370, 380.
Yeah. And we saw that real quick, just to jump in. We saw that for several years with Shin-Soo Choo. Who was a really high on-base percentage guy, and you thought, man, this guy should jump pitchers more often, and he never did, but he still was productive. Even if it wasn't the production that they were paying for, he was still a productive player.
Right. No, you're spot on, and I think like what you see with both of these kids is that both of them started out with kind of slow starts, taking a lot more pitches than you'd wanted to see them. And then now you're starting to see, I think what you're starting to see is this patience and this starting to kind of understand the game. They're starting to catch up. And now I think they're really starting to get more confident, and they're knowing when pitches are going to be thrown and so on and so forth. I feel like you're going to see these guys go really hot for a while. Then you're going to see the league adjust. And that's the point where, are they going to be big leaguers for the long haul? Are they going to be legit for the long haul? Is how do they adjust again once everybody adjusts to them? I guess time will tell, but both of these guys come from Rangers farm system. And this week, nor last week, did we get to drop it down on the farm with the boys. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's coming. Down on the farm with the boys is our exclusive content where we cover all things Rangers, minor league. You can go to our website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
Also, all one word right here on the @ChilltownHoops on YouTube. You can subscribe here as well. If you want the audio, you can go to Spotify or our website and do the audio. It's just $1.99 a month. Or here on YouTube, we have 3 different levels that you can subscribe to. At that 3rd level, you can actually jump on here and join the show with us and be on live, and we can do a whole show together. So pretty cool perks to do that. So check us out there. Again, make us your one-stop shop for all things Rangers organization-wide. If you're not caught up right now with the Rangers minor league, I promise you, go jump on there and you're going to learn more about this team than all your friends. You'll be the person like me now, because I know this guy and he tells me all this stuff now. You'll be the guy that everybody comes to asking you about Rangers news. Anytime a new player comes up, who's this new guy? Who's this Wyatt Langford guy? And you'll know all about him. You'll know where he played in college. You'll know where the Rangers drafted him. You'll know what he's been doing in the minors. So again, down on the farm with the boys, we cover all things Rangers minor league. Go check it out. I promise you, you will not regret it. You know what else you won't regret is looking at these 3 box scores from this Rangers Orioles series. Man,
hey, before we get out of there real quick, I was just going to say one thing on Wyatt Langford. before you got out of there.
Yeah,
I think that Tim Hires and Bruce Bochy and the hitting minds with the Texas Rangers, they wanted to see him release the hands a little bit more too, and not be so patient at the plate. And whenever he sees something, jump on it. You don't have to. You can be looking somewhere first pitch and jump on a pitcher, and you've seen that a little bit more, and that's kind of garnered to his success as well.
Well, and it's the same thing we just said about Josh Smith, is that both these guys are patient, professional hitters. They have a very big league approach. And they just have these kind of hitters have a different approach. But you brought up Corey Seager. I think Corey Seager also has a very similar trait, but I think what he's learned is how to jump on pitchers early and get good strikes early in the
You know what I didn't think about whenever we were doing this show earlier was that if I had a light up in the middle of a river, that all the bugs would swarm me.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that was going to happen, but that's kind of what's happening. So let's talk about these box scores.
Hey, I'm going to drag this out as much as I can so that I can get you. I can have you getting eaten alive by whatever's out there.
I mean, these are some big bugs, bro. Look at that mosquito. What the? Anyways.
Well, hey, you know what's pretty cool about what the Rangers have done over the last 3 games against Kansas City? I mean, yeah, they scored 16 runs. That was awesome.
That's first.
They 2 shutouts in a row. Now, I mean, these last 2 games are pretty dominant. Like the last couple of games, 6-0 and 4-0 against KC, and 6-2 is not bad either. But let's take it back to the 6-2 victory on Friday night. Rangers in those. Do you notice that those City Connect jerseys, the color isn't the same as it was last year?
Yeah, Nike has ruined everything. I'm 100% on board with that.
It doesn't look the same. It feels like it's like a different color. It seems like more colorful. I know that sounds really weird to say, but it seems like the color was a little bit more like not quite so prominent last year. And it seems like now it's like way more something. I don't know what you call that color, cream, but
it is what it is. It's Nike. It's all the uniforms look weird, different. Something.
Well, the Wyatt Langford and Josh Smith show rolled into town on Friday night, and also to the Marcus Simeon show.
They let Nathan Eovaldi be a part of their show on Friday night.
Hey man, Eovaldi, bro. Hey, you know what? Let me show you something. I gotta give a big shout out though, real quick. I gotta give a big shout out to my father-in-law. I didn't know he did this. I guess this was my Father's Day / whatever gift. But he went on and ordered and got me a full stack of autographed Texas Ranger cards.
Oh, nice.
You got to go through these, dude. Listen, Bruce Bochy.
Oh, no. First and foremost.
Bruce Bochy, Jonah Heim. Look at this. Nathan Eovaldi.
Hey.
Marcus Simmons.
From the father-in-law. Nothing wrong with that.
It keeps going. Yeah. Hey, don't get upset. Don't get jealous.
So I'll tell you, man, nothing wrong with that. No, here's the great thing about Friday night was, the pitching. We're going to talk about great pitching the next couple of nights, but
wait, hold on,
the great pitching. I'm okay with it. No, we're good. We're good.
Wait, here's another one you'll want. Zeke Duran.
Hey, for real, are we doing this because of the bugs, or are you just happy about the Father's Day?
One more. Corey Seager with the jersey thing.
Oh, okay. And the auto?
Look, man, I was taken aback. I've never got a gift like this, but all these. But I wanted to give a big shout out to my father-in-law for that, because that was super cool.
Yes, very, very.
What else am I going to talk about it? But here, and anybody would even.
Yeah, I guess that's true. No one else cares in your.
No one else would care.
It's like when people used to care when you got new shoes, but now,
No, everybody has to care
anymore. Oh, Jordan. No, I was going to show my new Jordans. Whatever. Anyway,
you got new Jordans?
Oh no, I got the low top.
Okay,
these are pretty rad actually.
Let me see.
They're like the low top. they're all right, man. They got like
No, those are nice, bro.
they got like a flap too. I don't know what that's for, but I like it. I don't know. It's a little
Dude,
different.
those
Whatever,
are
you know.
nice. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, they're cool. They're cool. See, finally someone that cared about them.
See, you
But
got
seriously,
cool
these
stuff, dude.
mosquitoes are eating the shit out of me. So let's do this. Nathan Eovaldi, six really good innings.
Man.
4 hits, a couple of runs, nothing really too out of control.
I'll do this. How about this? If you want,
Leclerc had a nice bounce back game on after he gave up that lead on Wednesday night. Robertson got a hold to kind of bail Leclerc out there at the end. Yates, another really good inning from Yates, and the pitching was great. And like you said, the Langford 2 for 4 with a couple of RBIs. Josh Smith, where's he at? Oh, he was just 1 for 3.
yeah.
But Nate Lowe had a really nice day on Friday night. I got to admit, I didn't watch any of these baseball games. I have no clue what happened.
I did. I watched them all and enjoyed the heck out of it. Now, here's my option for you.
I wish that like when we came back, like you could like take me off, and then like I came back and I had like one of those big bug things over my head, and
that would have been cool. But if you
that
want, man, you don't have to stay on video. You can just stay on audio, and that way you don't have to feel like you're going to get eaten alive out there in the.
Like if I turn this off, are we all good?
No, do this. Watch this. Hold on.
Look.
Yeah, you can do that or watch this. Here, talk real quick. Go ahead and talk. Can you talk? Testing. Can you hear? Can anybody hear him?
I don't think you can hear me.
No, they can't hear you. Well, I'm okay with that if you are,
okay
man.
with
like,
this? I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
people are here to listen to us talk about baseball. They're not here to look at
the bug situation has already become 10 times better just by turning that down. So we got about 15 minutes left here in the show. Let's just talk about Wyatt Langford and Josh Smith the rest of the time. But no, Wyatt Langford, a couple of big RBIs, a big double there that drove in a couple of runs, and then Simeon, the big 3-run double, cleared the bases. Everybody's scoring, everybody's running, everybody's having a good time. And you know what, Leody Tavares, I think he had a hit all 3 games this weekend. And yeah, so good for him because he's really been struggling, and they need to get him off the schneid because they need him to be the center fielder that they want him to be, and the guy that can be, an everyday center fielder, and we've seen it last year. So good for him. At the same time, Adolis Garcia scored a couple of runs, got a hit, walked. I mean, those are things that you like to see. Like when you look up and down the box score, if the only guy that struggled on Friday was Corey Seager, you could take that.
Yeah, you'll take it.
You can take that every time.
Yeah, you'll take it. I think the Rangers, too, one of their big differences this year from last is their production from the 7, 8, 9 hitters. And, as we move on to Saturday, that struggle did continue on Saturday, but top of the lineup. And again, Wyatt Langford, probably one of those moments we'll remember probably, for the duration of his career with man, he smoked that grand slam, dude. That was a no doubter.
Yeah, well, we were at a party. It was an anniversary birthday party, and I looked over at Bull and Bullman. Everybody knows Bullman by now, but I told him, I go, hey, Langford just hit a grand slam, and like everybody in the party's like, who hit a grand slam? Who for the Phillies hit a grand slam? I was like, no, Wyatt Langford for the Rangers. You don't know him. You never heard of him. It's okay. You will though. Someday you'll vote for him for an All-Star game. I promise you.
Yeah. It's gonna happen. You're gonna vote. You're gonna vote for Wyatt Langford as an All-Star at some point. But man,
I feel like the lights behind me are cooler than me, anyways.
Well, and it feels like kind of like a mystery host,
I like it.
Let's not forget the other multi-hit game that night was Josh Smith, who also chipped in with a nice home run for himself.
Yeah, and he was he was the catalyst in that 5-run eighth. It was a pitcher that he struggled with. He put a bunt down the third baseline, gets on base, and that just moves everything along. These lightning bugs out here are wild. You ever seen the lightning bugs? They're wild.
I haven't seen any yet. As long as you're not getting eaten alive again, I'm good.
No, we're pretty good. I think they all subsided after I showed everybody my shoes.
Well, and let's not forget John Gray. He's only had one bad game all year. He's been unbelievable, other than the one kind of.
Yeah,
The
that
nine
one
isn't really that
roasting.
bad of a game, even though the numbers.
And I think he worked through 4 innings or something like that, even though he was kind of getting lit up a little bit.
But
Everybody
yeah,
that they threw that night got lit up, so maybe it was just a Mets night, you know?
yeah. Well, nobody got lit up on Saturday because Latz, Robertson, even Brock Burt goes in there. Bullpen gives up nothing. 1 hit, no walks, 6 strikeouts from your bullpen over 3 innings. That is that is great. And Brock
Yeah, and
Burt,
that's
man,
and man, I mean that at the end, scoring those runs to get them in a position to where they don't have to use Yates 3 nights in a row. That's huge. And then ends up the way things worked out. They worked their bullpen to where they only had to use Yates 1 time this week. Robertson just a couple of times. Leclerc just the 1 time. Urena really Sunday. I mean, he saved the bullpen tenfold because that was, I mean, not that a 6-0 ball game is close, but it wasn't always a 6, it was 4-0 ball game is close, I was looking at Saturday's box score, but on Sunday, it's a 4-0 ball game. So what Urena did to close that thing out for the bullpen, especially with Robertson working Friday and Saturday night, and, them getting a little bit of a lax with going to Burke, being able to go to Burke in that 9th inning up 6-0.
yeah, and Burt. I think Burt he's turned some kind of corner when he was during his injury or his IL stint or wherever he was going or whatever he was doing, because he just doesn't. He looks completely.
Well, that fastball ain't the same fastball that was getting lit up before.
No, man, he looks
that
like
ain't the same fastball.
Man.
Now we'll see it whenever he's put in a pressure situation and they
Yes.
start giving him some more. But the way things are going right now, and as they get better and better in that bullpen, those pressure situations aren't going to come for Brock Burke unless he delivers, because honestly, he's probably the next guy down when you look at their 26-man roster right now. So
yeah, I think the big help's going to be is having I think getting Spores back in that 7th inning, kind of getting him in the 7th inning.
Yes, where you don't have to push Yates and you don't have to use Leclerc in situations where you are forced to because his stuff is better than his mind.
Right. Well,
yes,
and
100%.
now you have like options, like better options in the 6th inning than you would have normally had otherwise. I mean, I think that's like a big deal. I think that's
especially in today's age, like you were talking about before the break or before the the box scores, and pitching is going that way. Pitching is trending that if you're struggling after a couple of innings as a starting pitcher, they're not going to let you go find it. It isn't there anymore. You don't get to go find it. I mean, there's too many good bullpen hands. There's too many. I mean, that other team has just as many good hands on their side, so it's like one of those situations where, I mean, there aren't as many hits in the game of baseball these days as there were 5-10 years ago even.
Yeah, and with again, I really think you're going to see an evolution of like what a bullpen pitcher looks like. And I mean, I would even call it maybe more like a revolution, because back in the day, you had these kind of guys. You had bullpen guys that could give you 100 innings. Like, now again, it's a little different because your starters gave you way more innings.
Yes.
But I mean, you had guys that would pitch 120, 150 innings out of the bullpen. You had bullpen guys winning the Cy Young.
That was their job. Yeah, they were going 2 or 3 days a week, giving you 3+ innings out of the bullpen.
Yeah, it was a different.
And a lot of times it was necessity, or I mean, that's how, I mean, you pitch guys out of the bullpen for longer. There weren't 1-inning relievers. You had more bench players. You didn't worry as much about a bullpen as you did. I mean, especially pre-80s, for sure. You didn't worry about bullpen at all. I mean, then like the 80s is when the bullpen started becoming like specialized 1-inning roles and stuff like that. So, I mean, relatively having 1-inning pitchers out of your bullpen is what, 30 years old, 40 years old now. Like that isn't
it's not a big thing
in the grand scheme of things. Although when I was overhearing, I overheard a conversation at the Cape Cod League where one of the kids thought that Babe Ruth played in the 70s.
Nice. Wow.
So he thought his dad got to watch Babe Ruth growing up.
You know what? I'm not sure how to respond to that. I'm glad you could see my facial expression.
Perfect. Perfect. So that'll segue us right into Sunday.
Let's talk about Sunday, man.
Hey, man, let's be real honest. Max Scherzer looked like Max Scherzer, didn't he?
1 hit over 5 innings, 4 Ks. I mean,
ties Greg Maddux on the all-time strikeout list. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is how about the game time on that? 2 hours and 5 minutes. Talk about
something else. Yeah, I missed most of Scherzer's start because I didn't realize what time the game started. I'm on this East Coast time. It's weird. The games start an hour later.
Yeah.
So I've been struggling with that. Like I'll check an hour earlier and they haven't started yet, and then I'll forget an hour. So I missed like the first 2 innings of Scherzer's start today. But that man, he was up and down. He was 94 with the fastball almost every time on that sinker. He was like laying him in there, man. I mean, like if he were like, I would compare him to like one of them old veteran wrestlers that comes in and just starts laying them in and not caring what anybody thinks about what's going on and just doing what he does. And once he's done, he, goes to the locker room and bitches about it to the coach until he lets him go do it again.
Well, one thing real quick. Now, another big game from Wyatt Langford and from Josh Smith. Both get runs batted in. Josh Smith puts another one over the wall. Corey Seager looked really good today hitting the ball. But I'm going to tell you what, 2 guys over the weekend that had a pretty good weekend that needed it probably as bad as anybody on this team. And there's one other guy that needs it pretty bad too. But Nate Lowe and Leody Taveras both had pretty good weekends, and it was high time for them because both of these guys needed a big weekend.
Needed it. The lineups needed it. I mean, we're at a point right now where we're getting to nut cutting time and everybody's getting healthy and all that stuff that we were talking about. And the people that were part of the plan to start with, they got to start producing too. And that, that starts with Leody Taveras, Nate Lowe, Dallas Garcia. Those guys have all got to produce. All of them had hits in all 3 games this weekend. All of them scored runs. I don't think Taveras scored any runs this weekend, but he drove in 2 today. Had a big home run against the Mets the other night to start this 4-game winning streak. So it's been good for those guys to kind of get off the schneid a little bit.
Yeah, and you just have a really nice feeling right now with this team, with getting Scherzer back, guys getting healthy, starting to hear the name, the Bradford name getting thrown around. Josh Young, well, Josh Young, I think is one.
I think Josh Spores too is. I mean, people don't understand how big of a piece that Josh Spores was for this thing down the stretch last year once he got healthy. And if he's healthy like that, I wholeheartedly believe the same thing from him again this year. His stuff has been good when it's been good this year. I mean, he hasn't been bad at all. He just hasn't been healthy, and he's been trying to fight through some stuff. And let's hope that this time through he's healthy and he's back to that guy that was so dominating last year at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think everything that you're saying rings true. I think this team, is gonna. It's funny because it almost feels like a prophecy, but it's almost like what they'd been saying all off season, that the Rangers all-star, trade deadline moves or, additions are all going to be pieces that they're getting back off
they're trading. And here it is. And we're right here in the middle of it. And and now I know it's just 4 games, but it's felt really nice. I mean, the Kansas City Royals are a very good team.
They are.
We can't look too much into it. The Colorado Rockies swept the Texas Rangers, and we all believe wholeheartedly that the Rangers are a better team than the Colorado Rockies. So you can't put a whole 100% stock into it. But, they're moving forward this week. They've got They're right back on the schneid tomorrow, and they're in Milwaukee, so they've got a good test ahead of them. And they've got, what is this? This is going to be game 4 of, 10 in a row?
Yeah.
10 in a row. They got 10 in a row coming up, and it ends in Baltimore, 4 with Baltimore. Yep. So they got a big week this week, 3 with Milwaukee, 4 with Baltimore. Baltimore's coming off of a rough series this past weekend. Milwaukee is trying to hang on with a young St. Louis team flying up on them. So, this is my kind of week whenever the Rangers can help the Cardinals.
Yeah, and I mean, if the Rangers can come out of the back end of this 10-game stretch, they can come out of here with 4 wins over these next 7 games. They can get this series win against Milwaukee. I'd love that. And then if you get a split with Baltimore, I mean,
if you get what's that? 2, 4, 4, and 3 is 7. If you win 7 of this, we can really start thinking of this thing as maybe a contender moving in towards the All-Star break.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, I wouldn't even doubt that the Rangers, have probably their eyes on, possibly adding a bat somewhere, because right now, like, designated hitter is probably a spot where they could get anybody, they could just.
And who knows, those things may fix themselves with Foscue and Young getting healthy and getting regular at bats. I don't know that Foscue is just going to be a major leaguer whenever he's off the 60-day, right, when he comes back off or whatever. I don't know exactly that there's a spot for him, but I definitely know there's a spot for Josh Young, and he's proven that on 100. He's proven that 100 times over that he's worthy of being a major leaguer. And now it's just a matter of having him 100% healthy and having him in the spot that he needs to be. And, a couple of days ago with Nate Lowe struggling, we were talking about the idea of Josh Young playing some first base, and now probably not thinking about that right now.
Yeah. And it's just having a good right-hand bat coming off the DL or the IL. And also Wyatt Langford now, kind of heating up on the right-hand side. You like to think that the Rangers
started coming together.
Like the plan is, right-handed side of the plate. Obviously, Marcus Semien.
When are we just going to learn to trust in Boch?
Oh man, we do. We're not going to that part for us is it's entrenched in our being. So.
It was good to be back today, huh?
Man, it was a lot of fun to talk.
It was a long week. It's not that Kevin and I couldn't get together on times. It was us getting together on times that worked for our broadcasting company.
It's that, and we're on vacation.
And we're on vacation. I told Kevin at the end, I was like, hey, if we get them in, we get them in. We don't get them in, people will be waiting for us on Monday, and we'll be glad to be back.
Yeah, and again, it was just a lot of things just were working against us, but I'm glad to be back, glad to be talking ball. Couldn't be more excited about all the things that are happening with this team. And though the Rangers only come out 500 since the last time we spoke, I still think all of us feel a lot better about what the future looks like for this team off of a 4-game winning streak. So, man. Don't forget to check us out on social media, TX Rangers WTB. Don't forget to check us out on that website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
Yeah, there he is. Also, all one word at Chilltown Hoops right here on YouTube. Don't forget to check us out here. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcasting platform. Also, Down on the Farm with the Boys, where you can check out our minor league stuff and make us your one-stop shop for all things Rangers, organization-wide, for the 300-pound minimum. This is your boy Kev. We, him, me, we are Texas Rangers with the Boys, and we're signing out.